Hi everybody, it's Claire with another art journal video. Today I'm working in the Dina Wakley craft journal. This is a lovely journal. I'm just adding a little bit of gesso on to just prep the pages, but not covering up all of the background. Then I'm starting off with a stamp by Danielle Mac, and it's called From the Set Girls with Curls. And I've just stamped that directly onto the gesso. Then I'm using this fountain pen which has got a waterproof ink in it, which means obviously when I start adding any media onto there that it's not going to run. So I was just kind of adding in the rest of her hair. Now I know that you can get a product called a watercolour ground, which means that you can then use your watercolours on any surface, but I wanted to see how they would work on the gesso, and I was really quite pleasantly surprised. I think because the craft paper is a nice smooth surface, it then means that they did spread around quite nicely. So this is a set of watercolours that are mostly a mix of Prima watercolours and Winsor and Newton ones, and I've just kind of modged all my favourite colours together in the little palette here that you can see. And then I've got another spare palette that I just added some sort of neutral colours and some browns and blacks and greys and whites into there too. So I'm just adding some skin tones onto there and leaving some areas that are white just as a bit of contrast on the face, trying to work into the face and add some depth to it without making it too full on. Then I'm just adding some colour onto the hair, and really all I do here is just build up the layers. So keep adding the colour on, let it dry, add a bit more, just so that it gets to the tone that I wanted. So this is a really great way to add faces into your journals, just using a stamp from a set that's already been done by somebody else, and then you can edit it and change it up in whatever way you want to. It's a really quick way to add facial images into your work. So I just used the Davenport Palette pastels and added a bit of blush to the cheeks. And then I'm using my Faber-Castell watercolour pencils and just adding some colour into the eyes and darkening up the eyebrows a little bit. And then I was adding a little bit of shading as well. And then I went a bit crazy with the colour. So I started off with Dina Wakley Tangerine and just added some of that on. And then I used the Squoval stencil, also by Dina Wakley, and a baby wipe, and just removed a bit of colour through there just to push it back a bit. Then I used the same stencil and I went in with lemon and just stenciled a few of those on there too. So the reason I did it this way around was I did the face first because I didn't want the face to have any other colour underneath it. I wanted to be able to paint directly onto the gesso and obviously, like I said, see what would happen. So that's why I'm kind of building the background around the face. So the stencils that I used was a Dina Wakley cross hatch stencil, lined circles, and also this is the circle stencil also from Dina Wakley. So then I decided I wanted to add some white back in to the to the background. So I'm using this Dina Wakley circle stencil and just some white acrylic paint and just adding some circles onto there. Unfortunately, most of the craft background has disappeared, but you know me, if you've watched my channel before, you know that white space or leaving space on the page is not something that I'm very good at doing. I just end up filling it up with colour, but I'm okay with that. So, and then I decided that the areas that I'd left lighter were too light, so I just added a little bit more colour over. Then these are some stamps that I made from the Dina Wakley Alpha Block stamp set, and I'd stamped them onto some Collage Collective and then cut them out. So I've got a bit of a stash of those, and it's great for doing something like this. So it meant that I didn't have to stamp them out again. I could just fish through and find out the letters that I wanted and then add them on. So a mix of handwriting and stamp letters is quite effective. I like the mix of it, it works really well. So then I'm just adding in the rest of my words. There we go. And then some dots and a mark making using a Posca pen in a sort of turquoise blue colour, just to finish off the page and pull out the little tiny bits of blue that are in the lettering. And that is the finished page. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that. Maybe you'll give it a try using watercolour on gesso. It's quite an interesting effect. Thank you very much for watching.